Today, as you can hear by my intro, we're going to be discussing a topic that's, quite serious. That lives up to the hashtag that you're seeing on social media, the SA unrest, and it's very true. There's an unrest happening in South Africa, where people's livelihoods are at stake, people's lives are at stake, people's jobs, the economy. Basically, we are in destructive mood. And it's being caused by the people living in South Africa. And
this thing all began, obviously started with former President Jacob Zuma basically not adhering to the Zondo Commission, and which led to him obviously having given a period of I think it was 5 days to hand himself in. And then from there, basically, he had to obviously hand himself in, and then he got taken into custody. And then obviously that didn't go down well in KZN, as Jacob Zuma has a huge following in KZN. And basically people just didn't take well to the situation of him being, taken into custody and obviously potentially serving a sentence in prison. So and then from there, obviously it went with the protest, obviously free Jacob Zuma. I think some of his kids did some sort of a mini campaign on social media to say obviously free him. And then down the line it spiraled out of control, and people started obviously looting. But in all experience of South Africa, there's never been a strike that goes without unrest and so forth. But
look, it is reminiscent from a personal point of view, and I've lived this kind of situation before, and it's never amount to anything positive, to be honest with you. It's almost as if we're setting ourselves a death trap. So from our perspective, I happened to be away for a week out of the country, and I was in an area where there was no connectivity whatsoever. And from the moment that I landed, really guys, I switched on my phone, I switched on my Twitter, and everything was just so crazy. I remember walking towards immigration at the airport, and everybody was just on their phone trying to figure out what the heck has just happened. The week before when I left, yes, there was issues going on with President Jacob Zuma, and I think he was in the process of appealing and all that kind of jazz. And then when I landed, I found out that no, he's actually in prison. And he handed himself over, and there was already sort of trickle down of events to come in terms of the eventuality that we're seeing right now, which is actually looting and all that kind of stuff. So really I'm taken I don't know, I don't think I've got the words for this, but all I know, guys, is that I've lived this before, and it's never positive. Really, it's never positive. I think, Keke, you've touched on a number of eventualities that would potentially happen or already happening at this point in time. So I just wanted to find out from you guys, man, how did we get to this point, and as a country, could this be avoided, or what do you guys think about that? How did we get to this point? I personally think that it could be avoided if you look at other countries, especially if you go in terms of research of how they actually handle the lockdown. I think JCU are more privileged to actually go out and still fly out and see, and you can see the differences of how this pandemic has been handled by other countries.
So just to comment on that one, there's a hospital in the Eastern Cape. There's cracks in the wall. They've declared it. It can't house patients anymore. Yeah. It's not functional. They've declared it non-functional, and I mean, like you guys have said, we've had this problem for over a year, and our hospitals are still inadequate to provide health services. But that's besides the point. There are a lot of gaps in the system, right? And I'm reading a lot of stuff online, and I'm seeing one that's constant, and what they're saying is that people who have nothing to lose are very dangerous, and that's never been more true. Because if you look at the people who are looting, I mean, yes, Kekeleto, people were retrenched, people lost their jobs, people have had to move back home, people got their cars repossessed, but the main problem are the people who are already struggling with finding employment, people who are already living hand to mouth, people who are already living in poverty, and then you go and you lock us down for a year. I mean, it was supposed to be 21 days. It's been like a lot more. And so these people, they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to do. What are they doing? They're not employed. They've been sitting at home. They're hungry. And when we say people are hungry, we're not just talking about, oh, there's nothing to eat. Like, you look at the stuff that they were looting: TVs, 70,000 rand couch, all these expensive things that you think, like, if somebody is hungry, why would they loot that? Yes, it was an opportunity for criminal activity, but you never know. Those people could be stealing those things to go and sell again, so that they're able to, make money, so that they're able to put food on the table. And yes, in the process, they kind of, cut their nose to spite their face. But you look at other stuff that's being looted. People were looting nappies, people were looting bread, people were looting essentials. And so then you just look at that and you think, people are frustrated. This is how they know how to express themselves. And we as the middle class, we're sitting here in the comfort of our homes. We are privileged. Yes, we also felt, the effects that this lockdown had on us. But we are still sitting from a place of privilege.
Correct.
And we are looking at these people and we are judging them, and we're saying,
Correct.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing this. But they're actually doing something about their frustration, even though they're doing it wrong.
Whatever is happening here, it's some kind of object of cry of some sense. You know what I mean? I mean, if you have a child, the child's best and most sophisticated way to communicate with you is to cry out, and you cannot say stop crying until you figure out why is the child crying. And from my perspective, like you said, it's so easy for us to sit in our warm homes, and we are in winter, by the way, in South Africa, and it's about 5-6 degrees right now outside in the evening, and some of these guys, they live in the shacks. Some of these guys have got nothing to live for, you know what I mean? Some of these guys have left, the provinces to come to Johannesburg for a dream of some sort, and they're here, and that dream is not happening. And if anything, that dream is shifting further and further and further away. And I mean, I imagine someone who lives just in Alexandra, which is essentially divided by a street away from Sandton, to be honest, just to put it simplistically. And every day these guys, they see the life that other people have and they don't have. And these guys have had countless promises being given on to them, like, this is going to happen, housing's going to happen, that's going to happen. I feel that it was inevitable, to be honest. It's inevitable. We've got a desperate society. We've got an angry society. We've got a society that legitimately, to a certain degree, feels, let down by what they hope to achieve via, their votes, etc., etc. So it's quite strange. And KK, you touched on the aspect of lockdown. I mean, I happened to be in two countries. I was in Ethiopia, where I spent, a couple of days. I was in the Congo, where I spent a couple of days. In these places, there is no lockdown, guys. Even though COVID caught us by surprise, we've had a year whereby we can find a way to move forward. What did we do? And my learning for the past 2 weeks, guys, is that, the government in Ethiopia, now, if you think unemployment is terrible in South Africa, think about Ethiopia, think about the Congo, for example. And these governments have understood that there is no way you can lock someone up. There's no way you can lock someone down. You cannot. because those guys are not formally employed, most of them, right? It's a population of that is more dominated by black market. These guys that do what they can to survive, and now when you start putting measures, constraint around them, while you're not incentivizing them, because if you want to lock me down, make sure that you're giving me some kind of incentives,
exactly.
right? I mean, I remember once I was there was a building that burnt in Alexandra Township, I think about 3 years ago, and we went out as part of the outreach, a Christian outreach, to hand food parcels to people, and you get to listen to the stories. It's humbling. And for us to keep carrying on the way we are, these situations will not go away. They will only get worse and worse. But I want to pick your brain a little bit, guys. So I'm always interested in seeing what influential people are doing during this time. And I took a hard search on social media to find out who among the people that are ready to drop music for us to jump to and be happy along. I'm talking the musician, these celebrities and whatever. These guys are all quiet. They are quiet. I came across Juke. I came across Pertusi, for example. I mean, she's very vocal. I love her. She's insane. She's vocal.
She said nothing about this.
I'm sorry.
And she said nothing about this.
No, she did. She's very vocal.
And
Burr is
but she was
vocal.
attacked. She was attacked for having an opinion. Tuso Mbetu was said that South Africa is burning, and she was attacked for having an opinion. And so nowadays you're not allowed to have an opinion because you will be attacked. And so how can they have anything to say? And I mean, they will be mostly attacked because they are influential and they're well known. And of course, then people will say, no, keep your opinions to yourself. So on Twitter, no serious conversations can be had because everybody just wants to diss and, for clout. They want to be praised. Oh, you dissed Pearl Tusi. Or they just want to spark some sort of controversy instead of having honest conversations. And I've seen celebrities like Pearl. That's why I asked. She didn't tweet about it. I saw something on Facebook, but I wasn't sure if it was real because people tend to sort of fabricate these things. So you saying now that she did tweet, then that confirms that then she was also attacked. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, she's one personality that is constantly always attacked. And you know what? She's a super brave human being. You know what I'm saying? She's super brave. Most of these guys, they're completely quiet, no opinion whatsoever.
Yeah,
I mean,
but you must remember,
what's your relevance?
Here's another span as well, right, JC? Why I would assume certain artists would be quiet is because these guys are affiliated to some brands and to some corporation, and in their contracts, which is something that no one really speaks about, it's the elephant in the room. They are not allowed to be controversial. They're not allowed to be doing certain things. So obviously, in as much as this is a real crisis, they're thinking about the contracts that they tied to. So it's basically like a catch-22 in that regard, is to say, do you speak for the people, or do I basically take food away from myself too by speaking for the people? So
but at the end of the day,
an influential person perspective, it's sort of like a catch-22. I'm not condoning their silence, but to a certain degree I can understand to say, okay, it's a pandemic first of all, and South African economy is taking definitely a toll. The rand is taking a toll, so they're in a position of saying, do I protect my family or do I speak for the people? It's a very, very hard place to be on, right?
Yeah, I got you. I mean, all I'm saying is that, dude, we need to be brave and courageous society, because if this is what the president is being set for, a celebrity, and this is how they are supposed to be, because look, whenever there's an issue in many countries, a celebrity voice is a very important voice.
Some people went and looted food and clothing, and it's cold, it's the winter. People went to loot for clothing, people went to loot for essentials, right? That's what I mean by some people are looting for
reasons. Okay.
in their
I got
eyes
you.
for the right reasons.
Right.
Because I need food, I need clothing. It's winter. My house doesn't have essentials, right? These are the people that went in there. If you check all the videos, the interviews, you'll see different opinions being said, and some of them are really. That's what I'm saying. I'm speaking from a place of comfort. I'm in my house. I have my heater on. I have lights on. And then someone else, unfortunately, is in a dark room. There's no light. Or there is lights, but there's no food. They're struggling. They can't get jobs. They've been applying for 2, 3, 5 years. Do you understand? So these are different perspectives.
I hear you.
You understand? So that's why I'm made by and then there's opportunists who's like, oh, cool. They're looting. Let me go vandalize.
I mean, there's this one guy I saw on social media, KK, in one of the WhatsApp group where I am in. They showed this guy looting, walking out of the shop of stuff. All right. And this guy is based in Durban, and I've got the footage for it as well. And the next day, this guy is driving a Mercedes Benz. I mean, like, what is this all about?
Yeah, I saw a clip.
Why are you doing what you do?
I saw a clip of a guy who stole from Woolies, and then he basically took the stuff into the Mercedes. Like, maybe it's the same guy.
Potentially, I think that's the guy. But Ginger, let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, but actually, people who are also like living comfortably-ish, who are also coming from a place of privilege, they're there as well in those crowds of people looting. And I mean, it's not just they're also still affected, guys. At the end of the day, everybody.
That's what I was about to come to, right? Doesn't mean that if I'm driving a Mercedes that I'm currently paying it. Maybe I'm behind paying for it. Maybe I'm trying to maintain this lifestyle and it's not maintainable. So just two ways to look at it. Even though it seems like it raises your eyebrows, but you don't know why that person's actually doing what they do.
Can I switch? Can I switch gears for a second here? And another aspect of what I've picked up now, right? So we had the military deployed. First and first, the police could not cope whatsoever. Capacity saturated. They could not cope. And then we had the president on TV on Sundays, saying that we're going to deploy the army. The army was deployed, but the people on the ground, they're saying that the army visibility is not really there. Now, yes. Now there's another issue that is now arising, which is very, very disturbing. Now is these potentially right-wing uprising and potentially overzealous community members that actually are catching people, beating people, and killing people. I was watching some videos out of Durban, for example. Where people are laying on the pavement and they are dead.
JC.
And there's a video whereby someone has been dead for 3 days, it's not been picked up. So what I want to pick you guys' brain, what is your view in terms of these vigilante stories happening?
I think
story, so right? JC, just quickly, for people who are not politically knowledgeable, just explain to us what right wing is.
We've got two types, right? We've got a left wing and a right wing, right? So a left wing person is more inclined to ideas such as freedom, equality, fraternity, right, progress, reform, you know what I mean, internationalism, etc., etc. The opposite to that, a right wing person is characterized by the more interested in authority, hierarchy, order, duty, tradition, reaction, nationalism. So those are the kind of people that they more want to be more closed than being open. Then they're not open to new things. They're more rigid into their ways of life and their tradition, for example.
For other people, it's an opportunity to push their own agenda. It started off as a thing, but then it's like someone's like, hold on, there's more that we can do with this, right? And that's the danger that comes in, because I saw a couple of videos, people having their baseball bats, some of them having their guns, trying to protect the malls or the shops and beating down people that are actually looting. Now there's an uprising of vigilantes, the Zorros of this world trying to take justice into their own hands.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think that's the right approach, because who's going to take them to justice? Because it's like we're like, hold on, this thing is happening, but I don't see those people getting arrested.
Right.
Or
Right.
especially killing is killing, man, regardless of what you are basically trying to do, but you actually taking another life, that is a crime.
Yeah.
And regardless of what you're trying to do, that is a crime on its own.
Yeah.
And obviously looting is a crime, don't get me wrong.
Stealing is stealing.
But killing someone and injuring people and assaulting people is also a crime. So we cannot take that lightly and say just because you're protecting, then you have the right to do that.
I mean, guys, tell me about it. I mean, I saw footages whereby there is essentially a line of community people with guns, right? Now, anyone who owns a gun, right, you either have a blank gun or you got live ammo gun. Only the police have got rubber bullets. Security guards don't carry. They either carry, gun which is going to disperse pepper spray, pepper and all that kind of stuff, skunk, whatever. But the rest is live ammo. Now, I saw people busy shooting. So there's essentially a line of looters coming forward, and then there's this line of these other guys with guns, and they're shooting now. I mean, that on its own, it's not okay. It's absolutely not okay.
No.
I beg to differ.
Yeah, no, wait, but you must remember, JC, you were saying that why are they not speaking on this? Because now it's beyond what now I'm referring to celebrities, right? Now it's beyond your endorsements, it's beyond whatever, it's more of a human level. We're now down to a human level that is closer to home, is about your people. Because as a celebrity, you are a leader. You are what people look up to.
Leaders?
So
are they really leaders, KK?
Yeah, but
are they?
That's questionable, right? No, but that's questionable. That's questionable, right?
But no. For me, it's very simple. So most celebrities are very selfish people. They care about their interest. Even when they pick up that pen and paper, they sign. They're signing for their own interest. Honestly speaking, few of them can actually come out and say something that actually uplift people. I mean, I was watching Shomizi, on Twitter, out of his Bentley, trying to speak to someone. I mean, this is aggravating. This really is aggravating. Out of your Bentley, trying to speak to someone who doesn't even have food for that night. Someone who's dodging bullets to go and find food. When are you sitting in the comfort of your Bentley and you're trying to tell people from a high level point of view, from your high hierarchy point of view, not even this, we get it. Looting is wrong, but no one is speaking to the root cause that is leading people to go loot. No one is talking to that. No one. And it's not okay. It's not okay because we've moved so far away from Ubuntu, whereby, I am who I am because of who you are. So someone who's suffering tonight with no food and taking a risk, because no one wants to go and take a risk to go and get shot. I mean, I'm watching grandmothers, dude. I'm watching grandmothers. Countless footage on TV about grandmothers going and trying to find something to take home. Yeah. You're telling me that lady, and some of them, they can barely walk, dude. They can barely walk.
Yeah.
And then we've got a society that everybody's sitting high up there, and all they want to tell you is that it is wrong, it is wrong, it is wrong. No one is saying, okay guys, we get it, it is wrong. What is the solution? What is my accountability to you? What is my Ubuntu to you? We've moved so far away from that. It's insane.
Jesse, we can also explore all kinds of factors that contributed to this, but I think the main one is leadership, and it's one that everybody is touching on. Like the level of leadership speaks to what's happening now. There is no leadership. And I'm sorry to say this, if this was happening while Jacob Zuma was still in presidency, he would be able to calm down the situation, believe it or not. He would be able to, because he relates to us, he speaks to us in a manner that we feel like, okay, we hear what you're saying. But now with the current president that we have, he doesn't speak to us. We don't relate to him. When he speaks to us, we don't feel reassured. I mean, I'll just talk about the last speech that he gave. There was no reassurance. Nobody felt confident after that. Everybody was like, what the heck, guys, do we even have a president? And so leadership is what's missing here, because Begitgale is nowhere to be found. Like you said, we don't know who the head of what department, we don't know who they are. I mean, when our deputy president went to Russia for medical treatment, I was like, oh, we have a deputy president and it's him? Okay, I didn't know that. Nobody is stepping up. Nobody is saying anything. No one is reassuring us. And so we are in panic, and it's going to make matters worse. There are no looters who are going to listen to what the leadership is saying, because the leadership's not saying anything, and so they will continue to loot. And not just shops, now they're going into homes. So we are in a very difficult position right now.
I think there's multiple ways to look at it, right? And there's no better way to look at the situation and try reason with the current situation. I'll give an example, right? I mean, I understand the looting. I think that's where it ends for me. I mean, I understand the looting and that's where it ends. But when you're going to burn down a building, that is taken too far. Because thing is, the very same people that you're burning the building for, they're going to lose their jobs. And them losing their jobs, if you saw the reports and so forth, people were upset, because they say, listen, we understand that you guys are unemployed, but you're putting us in the same boat by burning down the building. Because some companies have insurances, some unfortunately don't. But then when you're burning down the building, the time to rebuild that, people will be unemployed. And I can just imagine insurance companies are going to come with some clauses to not pay certain individuals or certain businesses. So it's a spiraling effect. I feel like it should just end at the looting as a matter of consideration, because what happens after is more severe than just the looting. Now it's like you contributing to people losing their jobs. You know what it feels like to not have a job. Just start there, right? You understand what it is not to have a job, so you're going to cause another person to understand your pain, but then you're putting them in the same position, and then we're all in the same position. Then it's like,
besides that, you're gonna cause somebody to know what it's like to be in that position. Do you really think they care? No, not really. No. It's like the whole crab system. You put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, and as soon as one is almost out, pull each other down. We have that mentality. It's already known. Moving away from that, they were mostly burning places in townships, and I think that's the one that blows my mind, because those places were built for convenience for you guys, so that you don't have to get on a taxi with money that you already don't have to travel to go and buy food and put it on the table, for your family. So that boggles my mind more than them, creating unemployment for their fellow black people. They don't care. They're also unemployed. Hey, let's all suffer. But now you've gone and
that's what I was saying, Ginger. Is that what you just touched on is precisely why I was making my statement. Is to say that we build township before that was an issue, that we taking cabs to go to the inner city to do grocery shopping, right? Now we have brought for your convenience to spend less money to create job creations in the townships or unprivileged places. Now we take that away. We doing that to ourselves, and then later on, once this has subsided, we're gonna look to who to replace that again. Right?
But guys, think about this, right? But just think about this. If we think about it, not just from our own little micro level, from a macro level, okay? And if you have to think about it from a Maslow hierarchy structure. All right, someone who's hungry doesn't care whether they have clothes or not.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't have clothes doesn't care whether they have friends or not, right? So if you think about it right now, you've got someone who's hungry. Do you think they care? No, they don't care. And that's one thing that we're trying to reason with someone who's at that level. People have reached so rock bottom that they're lacking food, and you trying to reason with a hungry person? There's no way. We all climbing our high horses, trying to say, yes, you're gonna do that, you're doing that. But right now they do not care, because the hierarchy says that first I need to feed, then I'm gonna clothe, and then I'm gonna look for friends, then I'm gonna look for social. Right now, these guys are hungry. Right now, these guys potentially.
No, JC, I hear what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? So
I hear what you're saying, but
whereby we want people to be standing in front of the shop and go, what should I do here? And also need to understand that once 2 or 3 people of the same mindset get together and start doing something, the rest get on to everything, catches fire, everybody goes nut. Really, everybody goes nut. But all I want to come back to,
I understand that. I understand absolutely. That's what I'm saying. I've had the privilege of seeing and living in the township for a very long time. Lived in the farms. I've lived in every sort of area, and I understand. But where I'm saying, JC, even though you are at the lowest where you're hungry, you're going to go loot for food, right? You're going to look for stuff that is necessity to you. But then now, after you've grabbed all of those things, what is burning the building going to do to you?
Oh no, that is absolute hate. There's no reason for that.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was directing it to. It's not the reason of the looting, it's the reason why you're burning down the building.
There's criminal people.
There are
also criminal people involved. There are criminal people involved.
Absolutely.
I was also listening to saying there are some people whose business is not working. And some of these guys are inclined to destroy their own business so that insurance can pay them off and they can shut everything down. No, so it's so complex.
Yeah.
It's so complex. There's multiple reasons. And I agree with you, KK. There's no reason why one should be burning a building. No one should be doing that. But you're dealing with irrational people. And when I'm saying irrational, I'm talking irrational by virtue of being angry. Being angry in this country, they do not have the opportunities. You know, we had job summits after job summit. We had investors which who said, you know, we're coming to invest in the country, and nothing is changing. From our point of view, this is inevitable. It's a society that is structurally failing. You know, because certain things have just gone on for far too long. I don't know.
I can. You know what I fear the most is there's an alert that just went out. I think Ginger, you basically brought us to speed when it comes to that. Is like, now when we go into people's homes, right? So we've now looted and we've now looted stores and so forth. Now we go to people's homes. What country? How is the country going to look like? Let's say the following day we wake up. Okay, they went to this urban area and burned down those houses and so forth and so forth. So everyone, what does that look like? You know, that it's really disheartening, man, because at the end of the day, each social class has its own challenge. I think the middle class is even having it. You know, it's a very fickle place to be in when you're in the middle class in South Africa. You know, it's a very fickle place. You are 1 rand from going to the lower class. You 1 rand from reaching the other side, but it's very tough to reach the other side because you're always getting pulled back. There's more tax. There's more this. There's this. There's this. So it's a very man. It's
on the text, KK. You just mentioned the text that Ginger received. Do you want to give us a view of that, Ginger? What was the text about? And you received it this evening, if I'm not correct.
Yeah, I did. It was a text that came from the CPF, so the Neighborhood Watch Forum. And basically they were just saying that we need to be on high alert because there will be looters, also known as protesters, coming from the squatter camps in our area. And it's funny because where I stay, there's like this big field, and that's what separates us from those people. So
those people,
you know, the people in the squatter camps, guys.
Those people,
JC, those people, the protesters. Oh, what must I say? That's what separates us from us. What do you want me to say?
The looters, the protesters.
I'm just being funny. This has been a very serious conversation. My nerves are just too tense. Go ahead, Ginger.
Yeah. So, look, we are uneasy right now because we don't know what to expect. We are on edge, and guys, we don't know. Any minute now, people could throw things at us or whatever. I was watching a video where you know, people, I think it was an Indian guy. Sorry guys, I have a guest with me right now.
Hello guest.
I think it was some Indian people, and sorry. Hello guys.
Hello.
It's a mess now.
Hello cutie.
Hello.
Hello beautiful.
Yeah.
I see she came to loot your room.
Mama.
Hello. I'm a princess.
You are a princess.
Hello.
She's a
She's a princess.
She's a princess.
She came to loot your room in a nice way and bring joy.
Carry on, Ginger, when you're ready.
Sorry guys. Please go. Oh.
Please go. She looted the camera.
Yeah, she looted the camera.
I'm back.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so where were we, guys? That's easy. Hooray.
You're on the topic of people separating. The protesters and there's a field separating you guys from the potential looters and potential protesters.
Yeah, there's literally our neighborhood is the first point of entrance, basically. To the rest of the surrounding suburbs here in Germiston. And so we've been warned that, you know, the looters are going to come and break into our homes or whatever. And I mean, generally I don't buy into things like that, but I mean, I did see something where there were a community of people who were shooting at looters. I think JC mentioned it.
Yeah.
And they weren't shooting for yes, it's wrong that they were shooting, but they weren't shooting for nothing. They were at the end of the day protecting their homes. That they were also you know, threatened by the looters would you know, break into their homes. And for me, it's such an invasion of your privacy. It's got nothing to do with your belongings. It's got nothing to do with any of that, and everything to do with them invading your space. You know, it's an invasion of your personal space. And now we don't feel safe in our own country because the police doesn't have the capacity to protect us, to come and defend us.
I mean, even in that topic of police not having the capacity, it just speaks to the leadership that we have. Because if we have a population of, if you look at it in the townships, right, how many police stations they're understaffed, how many police vans they're out there. You know, I don't blame the police, man. I mean, they absolutely understaffed. What are you going to do when you have 2 vans or 3 vans against the whole mob of people? Like, what do you expect them to do? You know, they can only do the bare minimum that they can, which I think they've arrested 150 something people. That's what 3 vans can do.
But now, how do you expect people to not want to protect themselves? Of course, they're gonna want to protect themselves. They're gonna want to.
No, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. Protecting yourself is absolutely essential. But what JC mentioned, between the police, they taking the hierarchy of being the police, because the police are shooting with rubber bullets. They shooting with live ammunition.
I mean, for me,
so live ammunition, if that bullet hits you, I don't think you have the likelihood of coming back than getting hit by a rubber bullet. So that's just how severe that can turn out.
Guys, I want to jump. I want to jump onto another topic that I want to pick your brain on. But before we go there, KK, you just mentioned the fact that police are understaffed and etc. etc. There's an organization called FEMA, FEMA, in the US, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, right? And I think what we're going through in the country is just highlighting how ill prepared we are from an emergency of some sort. We don't have scenarios. We know, as a country, I don't think we've been tested to that extent. Maybe during the apartheid era, there was this kind of stories, whatever, but we don't have scenarios for emergency aspect. I mean, right now, dead bodies are laying everywhere. We've got no scenarios of that kind of story as a country. Kinja?
For me, we over the past few years we've had xenophobic attacks. Yes, they weren't at this level. It's not like it's the entire country that's participating. It's 2 provinces, and yes, the situation is dire. But they've had, I guess we can call them dry runs with xenophobic attacks. And
dry runs,
they were receiving. Yeah, definitely. They had dry runs, so they had an opportunity to know how to disperse a crowd, especially a destructive one. This is not the first time they burn buildings. This is not the first time they burn stuff. This is not the first time they loot. This is not the first time a whole city was going crazy. Yes, it's a bit hectic now, but it's not the first time. And secondly, this is not a surprise to people who are at a higher level in politically, because they were receiving threats with that whole process with Zuma, where he was put in an application to appeal to the court, and they were like, no, Baba, you're going to jail by midnight. Threats were being put out that if he goes to jail, there's going to be an unrest.
What happened to our intelligence in the country?
Exactly, and it's gonna be, and they were like, it's going to be catastrophic. They didn't downplay how bad it's gonna be. It's not a shock when you look at it. You're like, yep, they did say that this is how it was gonna be. They didn't downplay the magnitude, and they didn't downplay how catastrophic it was going to be. And so they had time to prepare, but they just didn't want to, and that goes back to leadership. Like I said, I think they took it with a pinch of salt. And so now we're in a position where, and so I don't buy it. I don't buy the whole, they weren't prepared. I don't buy any of it, because the people who were deployed to KZN, they didn't need that amount, especially at Nkandla. They did not need that amount of people. They could have used them for other areas in the KZN region,
right,
to minimize
right,
the uprising.
Can I tell you guys a story? So the year is 1989, and it's about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. As a kid, coming back from school, I remember this very, very clearly. As a child, there's a lot of memories that dissipate from your brain, and there's some memories just never leaves you. So I remember that 2 o'clock in the afternoon, as a kid, coming back home, I can see my house down the road, about a kilometer, very long street, and suddenly all I saw were trucks full of people, organized, and all they did was to go after one shop to the next shop to the next shop to the next shop. So essentially, they will stand in front of the soldiers will stand in front of the door of the store. They will shoot it down, and the door will open. People will go in, they'll grab everything. And I could see them moving down, and I could see that they're getting closer to our house, right? Now, if you understand, most African countries, at least the shops, they're not like shopping malls as such, right? It's like in the European culture, whereby the shops are literally along the streets, right? So they kept moving, and I could see that happening to our shop, right?
Yeah.
And we lived behind the shop, right? Broke into the shop, took everything. Now you come outside and you see people just getting in and grabbing everything out of you. Everything. And literally within a space of 15 minutes, the shop is empty and they're moving on to the next one. But check this out. For the next 3 to 6 months, the same people that looted those shops were coming to beg for supplies. People had money made no sense. Food was not available. All these traders, they decided, we're not going to do this, because the majority of African traders don't have insurance, and I'm sure most of these guys have lost their shops, don't have insurance, and these guys potentially will never recover. So the impact of that lasted so long. Now, if you think about it, for those who know African history, there was a leader in the Congo called Mobutu, right? That became the beginning of the end of that president. It started then because the society started to break down, right? So first they started off by going after the shops, and then at night they became organized. Now they were going after rich people, at least middle class people. You'll be sleeping at night, people will be trying to get inside your house. I mean, we had to hire private security just to feel safe. As a child, I've never heard the sound of an AK-47. That was my first time to hear the sound of an AK-47. So what is happening into our society, as KK you mentioned earlier on in closing, it's going to have serious repercussions. People are going to lose jobs. There will not be food. I mean, this situation itself is not just affecting South Africa alone. It's affecting all the way up to Lubumbashi. I was listening to not Mr. Tabombeki, but I believe his brother. I was listening to him, and it makes sense because Durban is a port, is a lifeline for the rest of the Southern African region. As a port.
That's a big topic to touch on there, Jace, because South Africa, there's other countries that rely on us for supplies and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So mean that it filters through to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen now? That lifeline is broken. And when that lifeline is broken, people are going to try to find other way. How do we survive? And they might just migrate from using South African services into going maybe to the port in Mombasa, for example, in Kenya, or even Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. And that's that we've lost business forever, because they're like, hey man, right now, like I had goods come from China at some point and came through the Durban port. Are you telling me right now if I have to import things out of China, I'm gonna bring it through to the Durban port? Oh hell no!
No,
I am not gonna do it. So the repercussion is major for just our own micro as well as our macro economy. So this is fundamental, and if we do not intervene as soon as possible, we're in big trouble. I just want to hand back to you guys in closing, just your word of closing on this one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think in closing. Oh, sorry, Ginger, you can say.
No, it's fine. You can say a closing statement. I just want to ask a question. By we, who's we? And how do we intervene? I mean, at this point, we're scared for our lives, and so how do we intervene? By we, how do we intervene?
I think we as the nation, us as a nation, but the intervening part is the most very complex part, because it goes to, like, as normal citizen, how are you going to intervene? Like right now as we speak, we are speaking in the comfort of our own homes, right? If I had to assist or try and intervene, what will I do as a normal? I'm yet alone barely trying to sustain what we have and trying to put food on the table for your family, right? How do you even intervene?
Leadership needs to touch the ground where the nation is standing. Like go share the ground with these guys.
But JC, sorry to interrupt, right?
Yep.
This is beyond. You must remember we touched on celebrities, we touched on leaders, this is beyond that. This is now at a human level. Like, we are now at the human level where to say, if you see what as a normal citizen can I do to try and mitigate the situation from going further. Then we can go up there and say, okay, but then the leadership, not to stray away, is that they're not getting to the people. So that is a problem on its own.
Yeah, I think
right?
Ginger made a very important point, and I think you also did concur to that, KK. We need a voice. We need a leadership voice. You know, this situation can be diffused quite quickly. Okay, I'm not saying that given to the demand, whatever, but someone needs to go and stand the ground where those people are, because the nation feels that there is no sympathy. There is no sympathy for what we are going through. There is no empathy. No one is standing in the shoes of Mpo and Sipo and Mandla and you know, anyone else. No one is standing in the shoes of these guys, and these guys are crying out, you know. And sometimes all it takes is a good leader to just go and say, guys, we hear you. And I think Jacob Zuma, the guy is phenomenal at that. Right? You gotta go resonate with your people. You gotta go, somebody's gotta go and diffuse that situation.
No, so I'm just gonna read something, just for some like food for thought, right? It says the inequalities in this country will not end anytime soon. Those at the bottom of the food chain are causing havoc on the streets. The survivalists are in disarray, witnessing their source of incomes being looted. The proletariat and middle class are sitting in team meetings, tweeting on current events and hoping these riots don't come near their estates. Private security is already lined up to guard estates. Owners of production sitting, watching, and using the middle class to prepare insurance documents for claims to damage to their property. This is South Africa. And this is so true. You know, we are at the people who are causing this at the bottom of the food chain. And so you know, for people who are watching, I think when Tuso, I think if you would just search Tuso Mbedu and her tweet saying that South Africa is burning, she was not inaccurate. South Africa is burning, and at this point they don't want the president to call for a state of emergency, but we are headed there, and if it heads there, then we are in deep trouble. And so we need to come together, find solutions, and find a way that we can move forward, no matter what LSM you're in. And I think that's something that we've kind of neglected and ignored. You know, everybody, like Kekeleto said he grew up in a township, and so he knows what it's like. But Kekeleto was able to pull himself out so that he's not affected by, you know, the system that is built to knock us down. And there are people who have not been fortunate enough to escape those. So let us who have escaped look for solutions on how we can build each other up as the, you know, ones who are excluded from the economy.
Yeah.
Amen.
I think for my side, in conclusion, I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna look at the negative and the positive. The negative is that there is some people that went back to their community, that have made it out of the community to build businesses in the community, to build that community, and then the community destroys those businesses. So that is the negative side of it. The positive is that that we can look at is, as the middle class or upper class, whichever class that you fall under, we need to go now to the humanity level where, you know, in as much as you're trying to protect your own, like I was saying earlier on, and you're trying to feed, you know that you are able to give a loaf of bread to the next person. You know, it takes that, as little as that is, do the little that you can. The more people do the little that they can, it reaches you know, to the greater, you know, numbers. You know, it says, I remember it says, if you want to change the world, you need to, you know, start by you know, changing your side of things. You know, you can only help out in the best way possible to help out is by starting in your community. And if there is no help in your community, reach out to the other community, you know. So I think that's the best possible way that we can, state that we're at, because we are at that state. The little that you can do, absolutely do that. If you're able to give 1 rand, 2 rand, the list goes on. If you're able to give clothing, if you're able to, the little that you can do, I think that's the basic starts I can go into. And then obviously the higher level stuff, that is very painful. That is going to take many years to recover from. But yeah.
Thanks, guys. From our perspective, we are where we are, and that is just a fact, right? And all I will pray and hope for is for everybody to just calm down. Just calm down. Pole, Israeli we say pole. Just everybody needs to just calm down. Let's take stock of what has happened. This needs to end now and shouldn't cascade into a different kind of thing. Out of this, we don't want to see organized criminalities now carving after people's houses now, like as Ginger has mentioned. We just need to calm down and come together as a nation. And I will really appeal to our leadership to really, get to the ground where these people are. We're not in the position whereby, pointing fingers, this one did that, that one did that. I believe, as KK mentioned, this is beyond now, it's beyond the tribe, because the guys that are looting are not just the Zulus, to be honest, right? There's everybody is looting. I will hate to see South Africa go through what my nation of the Congo went through in the late 1980s. It started this way, really. It started this way. People take their eyes off the ball. People lose their values. People start acting on the desperation. And before you know it, it becomes a norm. And suddenly, people start living. If you check right now, how many people, myself, I'm in South Africa here for a reason, because of such stuff. Suddenly your country cannot give you what you hoped for, and suddenly you have to find another way, and that just destroys economy, because then we have brain drains. As KK has mentioned, someone who came back to the township and bring more innovative approach and try to build the society, suddenly these guys are so severely discouraged, and they're like, you know what, never again. I'm gonna find somewhere else to go. That's a brain that we have lost. That's a capability that we have lost. And yeah, guys. And for anyone who's able to do something positive, do something positive. Anyone who's got negativity in mind, stay at home, please. Stay at home, mind your own business, and let's go out and spread positivity, because the reality is that we are where we are, and it is what it is. We just need to find how to get back, on our feet again. That's pretty much what I can share, guys. It's a sad insight.
Can we? I know you people with your suits. Okay, you won't do this. But I'm seeing that people are going to centers and they're helping clean up. After all this looting, they're taking to the streets. They're cleaning up. So I think we should task ourselves to do that as well, just to take part, volunteer. Kekeletso, are you down? As JC's down. Are you down?
I'm back at the office, yo. I will be unable because I'll be in the building working.
Are you back at the office on the weekend?
I was about to say, if you're saying, no way, guys. I said if you're about to say weekend.
Can you believe this guy?
No, but wait.
Ginger.
But you guys didn't let
Can
me
you say
finish.
nigga?
No, but you guys didn't let me finish. I was about to get to the part where I'm saying
there's no parts tonight. Okay, sorry.
These ones. If you're saying weekend, absolutely I can make a plan. But during the week,
absolutely weekend.
I am back at the office. I am working, trying to keep the lights on.
So you're back in a cubicle these days now. In a cubicle, you're back in your cubicle.
No. Oh, dude! To my surprise, I have my own office now. So it's fine.
Woo! Hey, please don't give the address. They might come loot you then, eh?
Yeah, exactly.